Hey guys, Dan Vanderlei at VDL Fuel Systems. Today we're going to talk about the 4412 500 CFM carburetor. There's a lot of these that get run around the country on everything from street stocks to super late models. And it was kind of where we started our company in the very beginning, some 30 years ago, when we started tinkering with carburetors. The 4412 is the basic list number from Holley for the 500 CFM. And this is the 4412 casting. Hadn't changed much in forever. We do a lot of things to improve the booster signal, and booster signal is really critical on a 4412. It's also very application sensitive, and so that's why when you call and order your 4412, we ask certain specific questions about your application and your rules, track rules, so that we can build you the ultimate carburetor and you don't end up with just a stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3 and not less than, not all that you can possibly have. It's an 1 3/8 Venturi, 1 11/16 base plate size. Like I said, this is just your gauge legal carburetor here. So the next carburetor we're going to talk about is what Holley calls their HP 500. And the HP 500 is a little bit confusing because people think that it's a better flowing, better running carburetor, when actually the only difference between the 4412 and the HP, which is numbered actually 80583, it's the same exact casting. They just went inside here and put screw-in air bleeds in the top. So the high speed and the idle air bleeds are screw-in air bleeds. Now from the factory, they also included nickel-plated throttle blades instead of the old black ones. But since we build everything custom, we can do it any way you want it. But this carburetor is the exact same casting, it's the exact same bowl, it's the exact same base plate, all the dimensions are the same, it flows the same, makes the same power. They did put a different metering block on it, they put an HP block on it, and to tell the truth, it took us a long time to get this block to perform as well as the old 4412 block. So if you have a choice, we still build the old 4412, but if your track insists on the HP, like some of the late model stock stuff was, we can build that and make it just as good. But if you're buying one or the other, they're basically identical. One just has screw-in bleeds, one is press-in bleeds. This right here is what we call our outlaw. It's a 4412. This one in particular, we built with an 80583 screw-in air bleed body just because it looks a little sexier. But again, it's the standard 1 3/8 Venturi. The reason we don't bore our Venturis on our 500s out larger, and a lot of people will say, can you build me an 450 bore 500, is because they lose booster signal. And when they lose booster signal, they don't make the power. So be wary of oversized 2-barrel 500s because most of them either don't perform on the dyno or they won't run right on the racetrack. We also go in here and put a thin throttle shaft in it. You can see it's machined on the bottom, makes it thinner for the air to get by. And this carburetor also has a stepped booster and bored out and stepped booster. You can see the step from the bottom a little bit clearer. But all together with the thin throttle shaft, stepped boosters, this carburetor will make about 15 more horsepower than a gauge legal 500. So that's just the basics of a 500 CFM carburetor and kind of educates you a little bit on what the HP is versus the old 4412.